Hello, everybody. All right, this is my first YouTube live, so I hope that it is going well. And I'm also on Instagram as well. Hi, everybody. So today we are going to be talking about how to negotiate. Hi, everyone joining me on Instagram. It's my first YouTube live. So if you prefer to see me on the big screen, then come over to YouTube. If you're on your phone and you're okay with Instagram, it's all good. So we start in exactly 1 minute. So I am going to wait for YouTube people to get here and then say hi to my Insta fam. How are you guys? Do you have any questions about negotiation? I know that you've sent me some already. So I'm going to answer them towards the end of this video. I'm super hyped today. It's been a very, very busy day. So super shiny because I've been doing corporate work, CGC work, and you know that this video is inspired by my client who was able to nail 2 5-figure increased salary offers today. And we've been able to help her kind of come out of that mindset of, oh, I feel like I'm asking for a bit too much. Oh, I don't know what to do. I was like, that's not what we do. You have to know what the market is able to take, and you have to ask for what you deserve. So I'm going to go into that as we get into this video. All right, so it is now 8 o'clock, so I'm going to start. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. Today, I'm going to be talking about how you can negotiate a salary that you deserve. And if you've been working for a very long time, if you're a mid-career professional, in fact, at any stage of your career, you should be comfortable with asking for what you deserve, especially if you're the type of candidate who is valuable and you do a lot of work and you've contributed a lot to your company. So that's what I'm going to be talking about in today's video. But to let all of you know who don't know is that I am hosting a live private training on Thursday next week for people who want to work with me to help them transform their career and basically land the types of roles and opportunities that they truly want and pays them in a very rewarding manner. So I've just given you the example of a client that we were able to get we were able to get her a salary of over 140,000 pounds. And you guys know that this is quite tricky in Europe, right? You can easily get those types of salaries in certain countries like the US, Dubai, blah, blah, blah. But the UK market is a bit tight, right? And the European market anyway is very, very tight in terms of salaries and stuff. So you have to be able to position yourself in the right way, upskill yourself if that's necessary so that you can use that as a negotiation tip and things like that. And I help my clients to strategize to get there. So depending on the way you want to transform your career, whether you want to get a job abroad, whether you want to go for that promotion at work, and whether you want to switch industries entirely like me. You guys may know that I am still a lawyer, but that's not really what I do as my proper day job anymore. I'm now in digital transformation and employee engagement. I'm also a consultant. So not only do I work with people on a personal level to help them with their careers, but I also help really big companies as well in order to meet their strategic objectives. So I know all parts of the candidate experience from both a recruiter perspective, starting from way back when I worked in recruitment at Deloitte. That was my first proper job outside of university. So I know what I'm talking about, right? I have seen this whole journey. And I feel like I wish I knew then the stuff I knew now, because even though I worked in recruitment, I would be at interviews and just be like shaking because I wasn't confident. I didn't know how to talk about my assets. I didn't know how to talk about my strengths or whatever. And that's what we help people do in the Career Game Changer program. In next week's live training, I'm going to break down the framework. So if you want to join us, click the link below this video. If you're on Instagram, hit my bio and click the link and apply. It's for mid-career professionals. So we will need to review your application, understand your background a little bit, and we only accept people that we know that we can help. All right, so preamble out of the way, let's get to the meat of how to negotiate. First of all, your mind needs to be right. I will touch on this later as well, but the most important thing is to just really get into the headspace of, I am deserving of what I'm asking for. And the only way to feel like that, I don't know if Instagram's still working. The only way to feel like that is if you have a strong understanding of what you bring to the table, you have a strong understanding of what the company needs, and you also understand the market. So let's take each one of those things in turn. But actually, before that, I'm going to talk about the number one rule. When you are negotiating a salary, especially if you have a new job offer or something, is that you should never, never, never state your expectations first if you can avoid it. I'm just going to check. Oop. I don't know if my live is still working. I'm still here, guys. Please forgive me. So, and YouTube guys, I'm here. Everybody, I'm here. I'm still live. Right. So you should never, ever, ever state your expectations first in the negotiation, especially when it comes to your salary. It's kind of like dating. You don't want to be the first person that says, I love you. I know that that might be a bit immature in some situations, but in commerce, that's what you need to do. You don't want to be the first person to play your cards. You want the company to tell you their budget, right? Because you might think that you have a salary in mind and it's going to be a great upgrade from what you're currently earning. And then the reality is that that is maybe like £20,000 or $20,000 below what the company actually has budget for. All right, I'm going to stop tapping this thing, guys. So if I come off Instagram, please head over to YouTube on the Career Game Changer channel. I am there live right now. Ask me your questions and everything on there, because I don't think it's nice experience to keep switching between both. I want to concentrate on you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm on YouTube. Okay, so never, ever, ever state your expectations first, like I said, right? Some companies will ask you to state what your requirements are, but what you want to know is what the company is ready to offer. Because when they are actually offering you something, they have a budget, right? They always have a range. And again, I'm saying this not just from like a candidate perspective, but also from a recruiter perspective, because I know, and I've worked in a whole bunch of different companies from, I'm freezing, I'm still here. And I know how these companies think, and especially national business strategy. As part of that, we have to recruit people to join some of our international offices. And of course, the salary is something that we consider as well. So companies will always have a budget. And I want you to wait for them to play their cards before you state what you're going for, right? You don't want to shoot yourself in the foot by saying an amount that's too low, because then the company gets you at a bargain price. And it's then a lot harder for you to actually ask for a promotion maybe in a year or 6 months time, because you didn't come in at the right level. Do you know what I mean? You always want to start strong. Of course, you can ask for more money, you can ask for stuff, but the facts are that it's much easier for you to get an exponential increase in your salary through job hopping than it is for you to get the same amount via internal promotions, unless you're in certain roles, for example, or you're like a superstar, right? So if a company asks you what your salary expectations are for a role, there are a couple of things that you could do. The first thing is that you could defer. And you would say something like, the salary is only one element of the total compensation package that I'm expecting, but this opportunity sounds really exciting and I'd love to get a bit more, so perhaps we can discuss that at a later date. There's a number of ways that you can rephrase this as well, but it's all about making sure that you show that you are receptive. You don't play your cards. You let them to tell you the range first. So I keep looking at my notes here because, like I mentioned, this is not a planned live. It's just an impromptu one. So let me read the script that will help you guys when you're doing your own negotiation, so that you don't give a number immediately. So I would personally say something along the lines of what I just said, but I'm just going to read what I wrote here. Whew. I talk too fast, guys. Let me drink my water. Don't forget, if you have questions, pop them in the chat, because I'm going to stay here and answer them, even though I have dinner in 2 hours. Okay, I would say something like, the salary is only one element of the compensation package that I would expect. So my range is flexible at this point until I learn a bit more about the specifics of the role. I am very excited about the opportunity so far, though, because I know that my significant experience in this will help the company achieve its goal of doing Y. right? So you always want to translate or help them see the fact that you are bringing something to the table that will actually help them achieve one or more of their named strategic objectives. And the best way to find this out, as you can imagine, is looking on the company's websites and, for example, in their shareholders statements or their memos where they talk about their objectives for the next year, for example. You want to tie your experience with their strategic objectives. The next thing you should do, or an alternative, or what you could do, is give a range. So sometimes recruiters or the company will try and force you to give them a bit more information. So in that case, I would say something along the lines of, based on my understanding of the market and my significant experience in X, I'm expecting a compensation package of around 90 to 100,000 pounds. Don't give a specific number, right? All of these scripts that I'm giving you, you can merge them together and use them, have that in your arsenal. And this is something that we do for our Career Game Changer programs, depending on Career Game Changer clients, depending on the level that they come in at, right? Because if you want to have negotiation scripts that are tailored specifically to your experience, we can definitely help you do that. And we help you with practicing as well. So you will have an interview prep session with me and my game face, because I'm here on the internet and YouTube, but haha, hee hee. But in a business environment, like, I just don't play any games. Like, my game face is, yes, pay me my money, right? And I want you guys to feel confident as well to be able to do this. If they ask you for what you are currently earning, they have no business asking you that, but they will ask you, or they may ask you. In that case, please, please, please do not state exactly what it is that you're earning, because I've seen so many people make this mistake, especially the client that I'm even talking about today. When she called me and told me, so, oh, Dels, I feel like I made a massive mistake because they asked me what my salary was, and I was like, oh yeah, it's that. Why would you do that? You're meant to tell them, you're meant to kind of push that away slightly, right? So you defer the question, or you give a range, but if you feel like you're being backed against the wall, give a number that is 20% more than what you're currently earning, right? Because your salary is just one part of all of what you're earning in a company, all of the benefits that you have in a company. You could be getting things like bonuses, you could be getting things like extra holiday days and stuff. So it's not necessarily about lying, it's all about the way you position it, right? Because you don't want to give them the number. And I say this again from experience. I'll tell you guys my personal example. I didn't end up working for this company in the end for a number of different reasons, but it was mostly because I didn't like where they were based, and I would be super isolated, even though the offer was like $200,000 plus, right? So what they did during my interview was ask me like how much I was currently earning. But I'd done some of the research that I teach my clients how to do. I had basically been strategic about digging out information. And I knew, for example, that company paid the most in Abu Dhabi. Like, basically their offerings were insane. You get a base salary, you get housing allowance. If you have children, they send your children to school, like everything. Your entire compensation package is just insane, but your base salary is a bit lower. But what they also aim to do is that they will ask you what your salary is as you're joining them, and their benchmark is that they're going to increase that by 20%. Because for most people, a 20% increase in their salary is fantastic. And I'm telling you guys, I would have been happy. But because my friend had given me the intel, and because I'd done my own market research, I knew that there was no way I was going to give them my actual salary, because I knew that they have a big budget. They're a massive sovereign wealth fund. I'm not going to mention who they are, but they're a massive sovereign wealth fund. And if you guys know anything about the market in the UAE and Abu Dhabi is the one that has money, right? So you want to make sure that you are not selling yourself short by giving your salary expectations at the outset. So what you would say then in that case is, if they're really pushing you for a figure, add at least 20% more. Because what negotiation is, one person states a figure, the other person states a figure, and you end up in the middle. And as a Nigerian, I will never pay the asking price for something in a market. You always negotiate. And when you go to a market, they expect to negotiate with you. As someone who lived in the Middle East, it's exactly the same, whether you're Nigerian, Arab, or whatever. If you go to a market, you're expected to negotiate. And if you don't negotiate, well, the shop owner is like, I've got a windfall, right? And as long as, to be fair, if you're happy with what they give you, then, it's fine, right? You don't have to be comparing yourself against other people. If you're happy with what you get, cool. But I think you should always make sure that you are starting at the highest level so that you get what you want. Because guys, like, the whole point of my channel is to show you that if you are strategic about the way you navigate your career, you can 100% set yourself up for financial independence. Like, I'm in a position now where I work because I'm learning, but I don't necessarily have to work because I have been really strategic with my career moves. And it's the same thing for my clients, right? So if a company asks you what your salary expectations for a role are, remember there's 3 things you could do: defer, give a range, and if they really push you, add 20% or more to what your salary is and tell them that, right? Because they will meet you in the middle. But let me drink some water because I'm rushing here. And these lights, guys, it's 8 p.m. I'm tired. But I promised I would do this live, and here I am. Hold on. Okay. So if you go into a negotiation, you have to make sure, like I said at the beginning of this video, that you are prepared. Let me turn this thing on again. Just give them one more shot. Give me a moment. All right. Sorry, I hope you guys didn't hear me, but yeah. So if you step into a negotiation, you want to make sure that you are prepared. And part of your preparation involves 3 main things. You have to know yourself, you have to know the market, and you have to know the company as well. So I'm going to take each one of those in turn. The first thing is about knowing yourself before you step into a negotiation. You have to know your strengths, your experience, and your value, right? Everybody wants to earn 6 figures, but do you have 6-figure experience? And you may not have direct like-for-like experience. That's absolutely okay. And it's the same for me, right? I went from years in law to now working in technology, digital transformation, like business strategy. And I don't have direct experience, but I knew that I had a lot of transferable skills and I was able to display that, right? In my interviews and stuff, I was able to communicate that. And that's why it's so, so, so important for you to really, really understand what you bring to the table, know how you want to position yourself, and master your pitch. Again, for CGC clients, especially those that want to change careers, your personal branding statement is one of the most important things, because you can see from the start of this video already, when you're talking about how much your salary expectations are, you always want to link that to your experience, what you've done for your last company, and why you are commanding your 6 figures. So following on from that, if you know the market, then you won't be stepping into a negotiation looking ridiculous, right? You can't go to a negotiation for a librarian job and say, hey, I want 6 figures for this job, because I don't know any person who's a librarian. I hope that's how you say it. I don't know anyone who is a librarian that earns 6 figures. Maybe if you work at the British National Library or something, but those roles are few and far between. And especially if you are a mid-level professional, you probably won't be getting that much money in librarian services, right? So you want to know what your industries like average are. And then you also need to know what you're bringing to the table, match those things together so that you're stepping into a negotiation like, okay, I know that people at my level with this experience are getting this. Or if I don't have direct experience, I know that this is what I need to do, or these are the skills that I need to up-level or communicate that I have, and how much they'll be an asset for that company. So again, do your market research. And there are a number of platforms that you can get this. You guys know Glassdoor, LinkedIn. If you don't know, I expect you to know this, right? You can get salary insights from there. If you're going into tech, there are a couple of others like levels.fyi, Angel List. Again, off the top of my head, I don't remember all of them, but what we do for our clients is you get a full market insights database setting out the best places for you to get information about market salaries and stuff for the industry that you're going for. And there's a whole database and stuff that we provide our clients. Right. The third thing I mentioned, a very important point is, even though, for example, you can go on LinkedIn, you can go on Angel List and some of these platforms, and they'll give you a range of salaries. I want you to understand that they are just a guide. It's not like, oh, this is exactly what you will be getting, because actually sometimes the company is offering a lot more, but because the salary insights on those websites are a bit anonymized and people get paid different things depending on bonuses, allowances and stuff. But you want to still check those platforms because you want to have a general understanding of what the market is asking for or what people at your level are commanding in that industry. In terms of the third point that I mentioned, you have to know the company's levels, right? What are their levels, and actually is there scope for movement? I give this example because in certain industries like law, banking, some of these big companies have salary benchmarks or salary ranges that have been set by the board of directors or senior management, and there's not that much flexibility. So I give the example of someone who's a trainee lawyer like me. You might be the most fantastic trainee, but typically, excuse me. Oh God, I hope you didn't hear that. Gosh, it's been a long day. I haven't been drinking water, sorry. Anyway, so people who are trainees generally get paid the same. So it's a bit futile for you to step into like your performance review or accepting a trainee offer and knowing that the market rate for new trainees is maybe £50,000, and then you walk in and say, I'm a superstar, I want 70. You're not going to get anywhere with that. So you need to understand that some companies have set ranges, and that's okay. So when you're going to those types of companies, you are making an informed decision. I'll give you an example. Before I actually went into law, I was looking at investment banking roles in sales and research, equity research, right? And one of the companies I wanted to go for was Goldman Sachs. So junior associates or junior directors, I forget what they're called now, but entry-level people typically get paid the same. But it's well known in the finance world that Goldman Sachs has one of the best reputations, or it did at the time I was applying for them, but they didn't pay the best because they don't need to pay the best. If you have Goldman's on your CV and you have 2 years of experience at Goldman's, do you know where you can go? And it's kind of the same with like the Facebooks and the Amazons and co of this world. And when I'm helping my clients negotiate, this is something that I remind them of, right? You need to try and be flexible and just know that if you have some of these companies on your CV, then you can pretty much go anywhere. So don't be short-sighted about the fact that the salary is capped at 50K. So I want 70, blah, blah, blah. If you're going for Goldman's and you are a fresh graduate or a junior, what you need to do is go in there with an informed perspective and a career plan, because you know that, if after 2 years at Goldman's, like my bonuses aren't like this or blah, 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 then I'm going to be leaving, right? It's very strategic. Anyway, to round this up is that you need the confidence to always negotiate successfully. And that confidence comes with having a plan. You need to understand you, the company, and the market, and you need to have plans and scripts that present you in the best light. You don't want to be stepping into a negotiation like it's a confrontation or abrasive or not seem flexible. You have to step in there in a way that you're showing that you're excited about the role and the opportunity, but you know your worth and this is what you're asking for. You're prepared to hear them out as well. You want to hear what they're going to come with as their counter offer. And that's why it's very, very important. Like I said to you before, never ever state your actual amount or your actual salary. So I had some questions come in on Instagram and I am going to answer them now. If you have any questions, pop them in the chat here. Someone says, I'm in Dubai searching for a job. I don't know what career is right for me. Can you help me? I have a lot of videos on my channel for people who are looking to, move abroad and a whole bunch of things like that. And if you feel like you want to work with me, like I said, the career transformation training is up. You can apply using the application form there, but there's a lot of free insights on my channel already. And actually, in terms of moving to Dubai and moving abroad, if you check the Dels Ogun channel, I think that there are some earlier videos when I used to do some career videos from there that might help you as well. Because it sounds here that you don't know what career is right for you and you're in Dubai at the moment. So you almost need to go all the way back and figure out what your career plan is so that you're going for the right roles. Let me quickly have a look. Guys, if you have questions, pop them in the chat. I'm trying to find the questions that came on Instagram. Say that, oh, perfect, all right. So what resources do you use to evidence your demand for a higher salary? There are a number of places that you should look. Like I mentioned, general information, you can find them on Glassdoor, LinkedIn. If your industry is tech, for example, levels.fyi, Angel List, and some of these other platforms will be able to give you some general salary insights. However, it's important for you to do a little bit more digging and find more tailored information for your role. So you could do this via networking. If you have friends in the industry as well, ask them what their salaries are, right? And you don't have to be specific. You could ask them something like, oh, I'm looking to apply for this role. What do you think the salary should be? Are you, if they're doing the same thing, are you earning 100K or more, right? Because sometimes people don't want to talk about their salaries, but you can ask them the over or under question. Oh, do you think this role should be paying more than 100K? Do you think it should be paying less than 100K? And then you can gauge that way. You mentioned money is not the be all. What other benefits can you negotiate on? So many. You have to think of your salary negotiation as a total compensation package, and don't always make a decision based off numbers alone. And that's why you have to ask the question. So some companies actually structure things in a very bizarre way where your basic salary is low, but they stack benefits. So some of those benefits could be things like your extra holiday days, maybe it's a very high pension contribution, maybe your bonuses are guaranteed instead of discretionary, because I've had offers like that before with banks where it's like, oh, the salary is not what I would typically want, but your bonus is guaranteed, and your bonus is guaranteed for 20, 25%, right? I had friends that worked in the bank and they confirmed this. So you go in with an informed perspective. Obviously, in some situations, especially if you're joining startups, some of the things that you could get are things like equity. So you could get stocks and other benefits like that. So when asked what was your previous salary, how much higher can you negotiate in relation to this? Don't tell them what your previous salary was. Try and tell them, if they push you, tell them it's 20% more. And I've talked about why you should do this before. Can you only negotiate if you're headhunted or on open vacancies too, where the salary is stated? You can do both. Sorry, I don't really understand this question. Where the salary is stated, you could do both, right? So you can always apply for a role, and then when you are in the interview process, you find out actually that what they're asking for is a lot more that was in the job description. So you don't have to be bound by what was stated in the job advert. You could always ask for more, because if they are asking you to do everything, right, then you want to make sure that you're paid properly. And this is where your market research and stuff will come into play. So there are many, many areas where you can negotiate. You don't have to negotiate only when you're changing jobs. You can negotiate a higher salary in your company, for example, and that has a different approach to what I've just said, because obviously you're in a company and they know how much you're earning. And then it's all about making your pitch and doing this in a way that strongly highlights your value. All right, guys, any more questions, pop them in. So one of the last questions, I think the two questions are linked. CFA is a struggle. Can I still negotiate? I'm amazing at my job. Otherwise, manager agrees. I think this is a tricky one, and it really depends on your entire situation with your company and the industry that you're working in. So I'll give you guys some perspective. I actually used to work for PwC, and I know that I think after 3 years of training, for example, then your salary goes up, you get a promotion and everything. But before those 3 years, I think people were generally paid around the same level. And it's a lot harder, like I mentioned before, where a company has a baseline standard for people who have not done their training, for you to argue that you want more, especially if it's not the standards. So in much smaller companies, there's a lot more flexibility on that, especially because, like you say, your manager agrees that you do a fantastic job. In that case, you have to go to your manager with the proposal. But just bear in mind that the company may have rules that maybe junior people who haven't done their training can only earn a certain amount. So I hope that's been helpful. But yes, if you are interested in joining the Career Transformation Live Training with no obligation to join us on the Career Game Changer program, then make sure you click the link below this video to apply. I look forward to seeing your application. And remember, don't you ever, ever, ever settle for less. Like, you are worth it. Don't really underestimate yourself. And just because you've been in one place for a very long time doesn't mean that there aren't better opportunities for you out there. I always say this, that you are in the business of you, and you would never sell like a product cheaper than it's worth. So why would you do that for yourself? I hope this video has been helpful. Please like, comment, subscribe, and all of that good stuff if it has. This is my first live. Let me know how you thought I did, and I will see you next time. Bye.